Hello children, welcome to our English world. This is your English teacher R.V. Nagalakshmi from NTR district, Andhra Pradesh. Today we'll deal with the poem The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Before starting the poem, let us have an overview of the module we are going to deal today. In the overview of our lesson, first we will recite the poem The Road Not Taken. Then we will try to understand and appreciate the poem. Later we will know a few details about the formal letter writing, and finally we will do the project. Now let us have a look at the learning objectives of this module. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to recite the poem The Road Not Taken with proper intonation and emphasis, paying attention to the mood and tone of the poem. You will be able to justify the poet's decision to take the less traveled road, providing evidence from the text to support your reasoning. And also judge whether the poem's message about making choices is relevant to your own life experiences, and explain your reasoning with specific examples. You will also be able to summarize the main idea of the poem in your own words using not more than 3 sentences, and explain the use of symbolism in the poem, including the significance of the two roads and the yellow wood, and how it contributes to the overall message of the poem. You also analyze the format and function of a formal letter and discuss in groups of 4 the topic provided, and be able to do a project on digital devices. Now, let's learn a few things about the poet. Our present poet, Robert Frost, was born in 1874 and lived up to 1963. And the present poem, The Road Not Taken, was written in 1961. He received 4 Pulitzer Prizes for his poetry, and My Butterfly, an Elegy, is his first poem written in 1894. Mending Wall, Birches, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, Tree at My Window, Desert Places, Mowing, Fire and Ice, Christmas Tree, Acquainted with the Night are some of his famous poems. Children, be familiar with all these poems. Now, let us recite the poem The Road Not Taken. Here is the poem The Road Not Taken. Children, let's recite. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had won them really about the same. Let's look at a few more lines. Here are the other lines. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, at knowing how way leads on to way. I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Do you understand the poem? Come, let's try to understand this stanza wise. Here is the first stanza. To try to understand this poem, let us learn about a few meanings which we come across in this poem. Diverged means separated in different directions. Here, yellowwood refers to the trees in autumn where the leaves turns yellow and are ready to fall. And undergrowth means the dense growth of plants and bushes. Here, the poet, while traveling, finds himself at a diverged road. He is unable to decide which way to go. That is his problem. And he tried to see as far as he could on both the sides, but he could see only up to the bend where there is undergrowth, and he could not see further anymore. Let's check our understanding with a few questions. Where does the poet find himself? Two roads in a city, two roads in a village, two diverged roads in Ellerwood, or in Ellerwood? What is your answer as for the poem? Yes, you're right. Your answer is C.
Hooray!
Let's go to the next question. Here is our second question. What problem did he face? Decision making for traveling further, or a forest is his problem, or he did not know the way, or has he forgotten the way? What problem did he face? What is your answer? Yes, the answer is A. Decision making for traveling further in the diverged roads. You're right.
Hooray!
Let's proceed with the next stanza. Here is the second stanza. Here, just as fair, this means just as good as the other road, and claim refers to the option. So both looks to be the better options. And wanted where, it means one road is very grassy and it is wanted to be used. And passing refers to the way. One means because it is spoiled because of the much use. If you see here, the grassy path, it has been less traveled and it is wanting wear. And here is the another path which has been traveled most by the travelers. Shall we check a question? What is the difference between two roads shown here? One leads to the city and the other to the village? Or there is no difference? And one wanted wear and the other is worn out? And one is green and the other is yellow. As you have read the second stanza, refer to that and answer this question. Yes, the answer is C. One wanted wear and the other worn out. You are right.
Hooray!
Let's go to the next stanza. According to this stanza, The poet feels that both roads are equally good for traveling, and no step had a trodden black. That means no one has gone through that way. So he decided to keep the first road for another day and travel on the next road. He is in a doubt whether he would be able to return back or come back any other day to travel. What do you mean by the expression in leaves no step had trodden black? Do you mean to say that leaves hadn't turned black as they were not walked upon? Or leaves turned black? Or there are no leaves? Or trodden back? What is your answer? Yes, you're right. The answer is A. Leaves hadn't turned black as they were not walked upon.
Hooray!
Let's go to the next stanza. Here, in this final stanza, the poet says that maybe in some future he will be recollecting and saying that as he had taken the less traveled road, that has made all the difference in his life. But he is not sure if that difference meant to be positive or a negative. Let's check a question. Which road did the poet take up finally? The road traveled by many, the road that was less traveled, or he did not take any road? Or do you mean to say none of the above is the options? What is your answer? Yes, the answer is B. The road that was less traveled. You are right.
Hooray!
Let's see some more details about the poem. The present poem is full of symbolism. Symbols are commonly used to represent the other items. Here in this poem, the road represents the direction of life or the choices given in the life, and the wood symbolizes the life and the falling leaves to the old age. Morning symbolizes a new beginning in the life. And here the roads, they are used to show the life choices, hence it is called as a metaphor. Here you may relate this to your life experiences when you will be choosing different careers to select. For example, like in your college, if you are going to choose MPC or BIPC, these are the two roads which you are going to select will decide your future. Or else, if you are interested in sports, you have to decide whether go to the sports or go through the academics. Here are few more symbols. That is the grassy path that wanted wear. It symbolizes the road that has not been traveled upon and which may be adventurous, not knowing which way it leads to. In contrast to the road or the passing that had worn, that means this road is followed by many. Let's learn a few details about the rhyming words and the rhyme scheme. Are you able to find out the rhyming words? As they are shown here. In the first line, the word ends with would, the second line with both, and the third line stood. So, would and stood will rhyme. And could also rhymes with the stood, and both rhymes with the undergrowth. Do you know how to mark the rhyme scheme for these lines? Have a look here. If we give the word would A and the next word doesn't match with the word, so we will mark this as a B. But the word stood rhymes with would. So let's give A to this again. And the next word could also rhymes with A. That means would. And the last word undergrowth rhymes with both. So let's give this word a B. So the rhyme scheme for this stanza is A, B, A, A, B. I hope you understood it. So try this for the next three stanzas. The poet here uses the personification, that is, giving human qualities to the objects. If you observe the lines, because it was grassy and wanted wear, or and having perhaps the better claim, you will understand that road is an object. Like a human being, it can neither want nor claim. Here, the poet makes use of the personification. Now let's summarize the poem. Here, this poem describes the dilemma of a poet standing at a diversion which symbolizes life situations. Life gives us many choices, but we cannot take all at a time. We have to think and analyze upon the pros and cons of every choice. By the decision, we may regret at the end or could become an extraordinary person. As every decision has its own good and bad consequences that decides our future, we may not get a chance to come back and take another road or decision in life. So, through this poem, the poet sends a powerful message that people should decide wisely in their life because the decision they take will have impact on the rest of their life. Children, hope you enjoyed this poem. Now let's go to the third part of our overview, that is writing. I know you are all well aware of letter writing in an informal way. Today, let us learn about the form and function of writing a formal letter. Here is the question. A new revised volume of Isaac Asimov's short stories has just been released and you have to order one set. Write a letter to the publisher with the following address: Mindfame Private Limited, 1632 Asafali Road, New Delhi, requesting that a set be sent to you by value payable post and giving your address. Your letter will have the following parts. First, you have to write the address of the sender, followed by the date, and then you have to write the address of the receiver. The next part is the salutation, addressing them as the dear sir or madam, followed by the body of the letter wherein you write the context. Later, you will have the closing phrases like yours sincerely, and finally you sign your letter with your signature. And also remember that you should not use any contracted forms in the formal letter. Here is the final letter you get. From address followed by date, to address, salutation, the body of the letter, the closing phrases, and finally your signature. Okay, dear children? Now, are you ready to do a project? Let's do it. Let's do a project. The Government of India has taken initiatives to digitalize cash transactions, to buy things and pay bills. You are all aware of these ATMs, phone pay, etc. So, take up a project in groups of 4 to collect opinions of people on the use of digital services in their life. Do you know the steps? To do this, first we have to understand the what, who, why, when, where, and how of the digital services. To know some of the digital initiatives, the following are some examples. The government organized Digital India Week to familiarize the e-services that it has been providing, as the government decided to build the digital India by providing a digital literacy skills to all. Here, some of them are the National Scholarship Portal for applying the government scholarships, the DigiLocker GEM, that is a government e-marketplace for online marketing, e-hospital, and a variety of digital payments. As a part of how, we have the following steps. First, we have to develop an opinionaire to collect opinions of about 40 people in your neighborhood on the above digital services through the questionnaire prepared. So, after preparing the questionnaire, divide the work among the four to collect the opinions, then tabulate the ideas and write a report about the use of digital devices. Once the project is completed, each group may present it to the whole class, and the charts may be created and displayed on the notice board. This is how the project is being done. Now let's summarize what we have learned till now. So, by this, we were able to recite and analyze the poem, justify the poet's decision to take a less traveled route, relate the poet's experience to our real life situations, form and function of a formal letter in a given context is also known, and also we understood the process of doing a project. Are you ready to take up an activity now? What do you mean by the phrase yellow wood? A kind of wood, trees in autumn season, a dense forest, or yellow painted trees? Yes, the answer is B. The trees in autumn season.
Hooray!
What do you mean by the phrase it was grassy and wanted wear? It was green, it was less used and needs to be used. It's a much traveled path, or the grass is to be grown. Yes, the right answer is B. It was less used and needs to be used.
Hooray!
What do you think is the tone of the poem? Reflective, optimistic, sarcastic, or curious? Yes, the tone of the poem is reflective.
Hooray!
What does the speaker mean when he says, "Oh, I kept the first for another day"? He plans to come back and choose the path again, or he regrets for not choosing the first path. He believes first path is the right choice, but he has taken the second, or none of the above. What is your answer? You're right. Yes, the answer is A. He plans to come back and choose the path again.
Hooray!
Complete the sentence by choosing the options. Life gives us many dash decisions, options, choices, or suggestions. Yes, the answer is C. Life gives us many choices.
Hooray!
Do you remember how to mark the rhyme scheme? Let's do this for the following lines. Find out the answer. Is it AB, AAB, or AABBB, or AB, ABB, or AB, ABA? If you have understood, you will be able to mark it right. Yes, the answer is A. A, B, A, A, B.
Hooray!
Do you remember the award received by the poet? Name it. Is it the Oscar, or Pulitzer, or a Padma Bhushan, or an Arjuna Award? Yes, he received 4 Pulitzer prizes. So the answer is B.
Hooray!
Identify the correct form of closing phrases as you have learnt in the letter. Here are the options. Focus on the punctuation and the spelling to find out the correct answer. Yes, the right answer is A.
Hooray!
If you are asked to write a letter to the editor of a newspaper, select the appropriate formats from the given below. Here are the options. Check carefully and find out the correct answer. Is the right answer is A.
Hooray!
The Government of India wants to develop a digital India by improving literacy, numeracy, digital literacy, or online banking. What do you think is the right answer that fits in the blank? Yes, the answer is C. Digital literacy.
Hooray!
Do you remember the steps followed to develop a good project? Here are the steps, but they are not in the order. Please arrange them in the order. So the first is we have to decide the topic, then brainstorm the ideas, form into groups, prepare questionnaire, collect opinionaire, tabulate the ideas, prepare the report, and finally we have to present. How many of you got right? Yes. All the best.
Hooray!
Do you accept with the following statement that PhonePe is an example of digital payment? Say whether it is true or false. Yes, you got it right. The answer is A. True.
Hooray!
So children, for further understanding it in more detail with the help of your teacher, you try to answer the following questions. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice? Or how will you make the choice and for what reasons? After you have made a choice, do you always think about what might have been or do you accept the reality? Or is there any difference between the two roads as the poem describes than in stanzas 2 and 3 and in the last 2 lines of the poem? What do you think the last 2 lines of the poem mean? Does the poet regret his choice or accept it? Express your opinion. With this, we came to the end of our lesson.